Hey you guys, it's Dani. I am really excited to go through and do the this is gonna be a great video. Only 10 decks mass market edition. I'm doing only tarot because I feel like Oracle, in my case, is a little separate. Like, there are probably like only, I don't know. There's not many. I want to say like there's like only 4, but like maybe there's more. But maybe I'll visit this again and do like mass market Oracle. I just didn't want to mix them because I feel like I was leaving tarot out, and I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I am doing this VR to Thea and Meg. I'm really excited to show you guys what I've chosen. I did leave out the RWS and the Thoth, the originals, because those are a given. So these are going to be in no particular order because I can't rank my decks very well. It's super hard. I love them all the same. That's why that I have them. Wow. That's why I have them. So let's get to this. So let's get started. Again, no particular order. But the first one I'm going to show, I just don't want it to leave my collection. It is probably one of, can you see it? One of those decks that kind of encompass my fandom without, I don't know, without being less than or good enough. I thoroughly love this deck, and that is the Game of Thrones Tarot. Not only do I enjoy the choices, again, this is a fandom. We can all, say, I wish this was different, I wish this person was pictured, yada yada. But of all the fandom decks I've kind of laid my hands on, this one just doesn't disappoint me. The card stock is amazing. It's mass market on a higher quality scale, if that makes sense. Like, the card stock is great. Now, I know the card stock has changed. This is the first edition with the linen card stock. But I don't know, it feels like it could be an indie deck while being mass market. The little white book, while small, is packed full of the things that I want to see. Not only the meanings of the cards, your keywords, but it tells you what's on the card, even if it's just a little blip of it. And I feel like that's really important. And so, hands down, would not remove this one. Sorry, had a call come through. But anyway, on to our next. That is, Spellcaster's Tarot. I love so much about this deck. I love the people in it. They're so varied in every way, shape, and form. There are just beautiful elements to these pictures, as well as this really witchy, occult feel that still keeps me in this other world. I like an other world. I know I have a couple of modern style decks, but they're not my favorites. I'm going to be honest. I do have one favorite for sure that is modern. I'm sure I have more than just one, but mass market thinking, there's one that mainly pops into my head, and I'll show that one next. But this, I don't know. This one feels magical. With the spellcasters, even in the name, it's like you feel connected with it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Now, this is one that does switch the suits of wands and swords, the elements in them, but I don't really mind. I read it however I feel necessary. So that doesn't really bother me. But I just feel like I can read for just about anyone with this deck and feel confident, and I don't know, it just doesn't disappoint. And that's the Spellcaster's Tarot. So on to the modern one. Can anyone guess what it is before I pull it out? Guesses? Yeah, you're right. The Fountain Tarot. This deck, I would never want it to leave my collection. I don't know, there's something about the masculine feel to it, the muted design, the muted colors, the modern design is one that I relate to, or like I'm comfortable with, because it's modern in a, I'm gonna like air quote, right, in a modern art kind of way, where there are modern art elements in it, but there are no like cell phones or computers or things like that, but it still has that modern art feel, and I'm totally here for it. It has these geometric patterns and sharp lines and just an overall amazing feel to it to me. I love this deck, and again, for a mass market deck, it's just so well done. So that is the Fountain Tarot. Next up is the Wildwood Tarot. This deck makes me feel so grounded that I just couldn't see myself not having it, if I'm being honest. There is this raw and real ancestral vibe for me with this deck. And while the animals are not my favorite as our court cards, sorry, y'all have to forgive me, my words are not really coming out today. But while they're not my favorite, I have grown to love them, because there is a freedom in seeing this energy as an animal, because I feel like it really accentuates the properties of the personality of that person within a spread, if that makes any sense. I love these concepts and the artwork. And I bought the extra book, the Magic Wood, I believe it's called. I don't know, it's behind me. I can't see the exact title. But I'm also going through that and just really taking my time and learning more about what's in this deck and how it speaks of the wheel of the year and all of that stuff. So definitely one that I would want to keep. Along those same lines, I've seen a few people pull this one as well, but I am no different in that aspect, and that is the Druid Craft. Mine have been completely trimmed, but I do have still a full copy, because I have this, which is this copy right here, that came in this box, but then I bought the big box because I wanted the big book. So here we have the Druid Craft. Makes me feel, again, grounded, but also brings some air energy. It's like kind of the balance between both. Because I feel like the images and the druid concepts feel very earthy, but in the visual aspect of it, I notice the sky and the air in almost every single image. There are clouds all over the place, and it just draws me in. So while what's going on in the image is grounding, you also have a very dynamic air that comes through, and so this is a very balanced deck for me, and I often enjoy reading with this all year long. Onwards and upwards to my big mama jamma. Look at that. The Dreaming Way Tarot. I did reback this because I love this deck so much, and the only thing that I didn't care for were the backs. That was just a personal thing for me. This dreamy deck is absolutely gorgeous to me. I love the seasons that we see, all this winter. You can see in the swords. The way that the designs are, it makes me feel like it's whimsical, but still serious, if that makes sense. This crumbling tower is, I love it. I love it. I like the pointy shoes and the black and white cups and checkers that kind of come throughout. It's such a different look and vibe. It's like a part of me is like, oh, it's kind of like a wonderland, but it's not, right? It's kind of like a fairy tale, but it's not. It's a space of its own for me. And I thoroughly enjoy the look and feel. It still brings me into that otherworldly realm without getting me too lost. And so this is one that I absolutely adore. And again, kind of keeping with that theme of this kind of weird, dreamy style world, Tarot of Mystical Moments. I know I've had my beefs with it. I do honestly prefer the Oracle in some ways as far as the production quality goes. But the images, they're so fantastical and so beautiful. There's a depth to them. There's that vintage style that I usually kind of gravitate towards, especially in kind of photo collage-y arenas. I do enjoy a vintage look to that. And I just feel like the choices were so smart. And some of the images are so dynamic. And so unique. This horse, I love it. The way that it shows like the top and the bottom, things that are not normally expected. I just thoroughly enjoy the art and what it adds to the tarot, that even with issues in the cardstock, and I say issues, it's just a preference. There are no issues with the cardstock. It's still great cardstock. It's just not the cardstock I was expecting. And damn it, I just can't let it go. You know what I mean? But I do, because I suspend that and I treat it as its own now versus wanting it so badly to be part of the set. Once I let that go, I just can't help but still be madly in love with this deck and its images. Next, I want to go into the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. This is a deck that I never knew I truly wanted until I had this in my hands. Is it the best cardstock? No. But the way that it reads for me, and the way that I've read with clients, myself, family, friends, I just feel like it's really a great reader all the way around. You know, there are some that I feel, which, you know, people may not agree, and that's fine. But there are some decks that I feel like I use for me, I use for, you know, people I know well. There are decks that I use for people that I don't, you know, that are just kind of clients coming in that I may not know who they are. And I just really feel like this one can read for just about anybody. You know, some of my, and I say that, let me kind of explain what I mean. Like some of my darker decks, my horror decks, things like that, I'm not going to read for just anybody with that. That can be very intimidating, but for my family and friends, I have one of my family members that we're really close, and we bond over horror movies and things like that. So when I want to use my horror deck, I can just say, hey, I'm using a horror deck, so ignore the, ignore the creepiness. We're still going to get that reading out, but I want to use this deck with you. And so it's not one that I would normally use for anybody else. And so with this one, I just feel it's so universal. Yes, it is all feminine presenting figures, so there is that limitation. I don't want to say like it's full of diversity and it has this. No, it's not. No deck is ever going to be perfect. However, I feel like in a reading, it really does well, and I feel like I can use it whenever I'm called for it, called to it, no matter what, is kind of the point of that. Next, Ghosts and Spirits Tarot, y'all. I love this deck. I've had it for about a year now. I have been using this. Can you tell? This little white book is phenomenal. It has little stories of every ghost or spirit that is featured on the cards. Our little backs here. But as busy as I thought this deck was before I actually started using it versus what it feels like to read with it is just completely different. This is one that I would recommend because it is a mass market deck. If you get the chance to get this and have it in your hand and pull some cards, read from the guidebook just to like get the full scope, I would highly recommend. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend. It is beautifully done. The Ten of Swords always reminds me of Gollum. It is, I don't know what else to say. It's a phenomenal deck. The artwork is absolutely lovely. It is intense. There's a lot going on without being distracting to me. And it's really easy to get distracted by cards like these that are so full. But when you focus in on what you're looking at and the spirit, everything kind of goes to the background, and then slowly whatever is needed will come forward. Like pulling this out, I know this is not a review, but I just kind of want to talk about it. So we have the Page of Swords. Some of them I remember off the top of my head, some I don't. Page of Swords, this is black dogs. So, black dogs. It says, beware the black dog on lonely roads, as they can spell immediate doom for those who cross their path. Kind of like the Grimm, in other words. But, so we have this, and you kind of notice that immediately. Oh, there's the black dog. Things can get a bit ugly here. But depending upon your reading, you can also draw from the fact that it looks like underneath him there are these souls that are beneath this trail, beneath his feet. Maybe he's guarding that. Maybe that's why he's coming in and bringing this kind of energy, is you're stepping into somewhere that you don't belong, right? There's also like a spider web here. There are these tangles across the road. Like there's so much to it, but you can still focus in on what the main image is, or the title or whatever, and then expand from it. And that's what I really appreciate about this deck. So yeah, enough gushing, but I mean, again, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Especially if you like ghost and spirit things the way that I do. Last but not least, Hush Tarot. This is where the rubber meets the road for me. This feels like an independent deck while still being accessible and mass market. The images are art pieces within themselves. They are beautiful. They are thought-provoking to me. The guidebook, really good. but it just draws me into this strange, almost macabre, I'm not gonna say almost, I mean literally, a macabre space that just feels so nitty gritty, and I don't know, it draws me in, man. It draws me in. We have people and animals and insects. We have this kind of feeling of everything being overgrown and overtaken that I really enjoy, especially when I'm reading for someone or for a certain situation that really does feel like you're in the weeds, right? That feels like everything is overgrown. Maybe it's something that you haven't touched or talked about in a really long time, or you're so far gone into it that it feels like you're kind of caught in these weeds. It really does a great job of kind of embodying that tangled feeling and then trying to pull you out of it, or at least find your way through it. And so this one is absolutely one that I would want to keep. And so there's the Hush Tarot. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this tag. I do have Meg and Thea's information linked all down below, so make sure to check that out. I also have links to the decks that I showed, and all of my links. They're all down below. My shop is on hiatus until the 12th of December right now, in the end of 2022. If you're watching in the future, this may not apply to you. But all the links are still down below. Those will be up and running shortly. And it also has my other social medias, my Instagram, and how to join the Mystic fam, and all those good things, 3 Fat Readers. So don't miss out down below, and I will see you all very soon. I'm sending all my love. Mwah! Later, Gators.